Hello friends, in this video we're going to look at this Philips LX-3500D. We call it DVD Video Digital Surround System. This is the main component of an all-in-one home theater system. It originally came with 4 speakers and a powered subwoofer, and it did not come with a cat. But this provides everything you need except for the speakers that are missing from this one to have a home theater system in a box, essentially, I'd call it. They weren't quite sure what to call this based on the marketing material I've seen. It's all kinds of different things, but I'd call it a home theater in a box. And the key thing here is we've got a DVD player, and we've got the basic controls of a AV receiver. And then on the back, which I'll spin it around through the miracle of video technology, you can see we've got various inputs and outputs that make sense. This is a composite video S video receiver system. Here are the 5 channels for speakers. This is a fan, which you wouldn't want in a more high-end AV receiver. They're usually passively cooled. Here we've got AM and FM antennas, of course the remote control and cord that I haven't unwrapped yet. So this is dated in about 2002, and I think it makes sense relative to that era of DVDs were already an established format as of maybe about 2000. Blu-ray hadn't come along yet. DVD player prices were probably dropping rapidly, and if you're one of the major manufacturers like Philips, you would say, well, what can we do to kind of breathe life into the DVD market? So this would be an all-in-one AV receiver system that would have everything you'd need, not only for the DVD, but to use as a basic home stereo system if you want to, AM and FM and so on, remote control. So I'm interested in this partly as a relic. I've seen a few of this kind of system, probably from the same era, at thrift stores. I got this one for $12. It's marked at $15, but I got the senior discount. These typically have this kind of form factor, which you could describe as sort of a large DVD player or maybe a small receiver system if you want to look at it that way. But we've got a fan, we've got some heat vents. There's more heat vents on the bottom, but you can imagine the design compromises that must have gone into this. We're using a pretty compact box. This is a pretty heavy box. It's supposed to be a standalone system, so you know, cost is very much an issue. This is a mainstream consumer system. It's certainly not an audiophile type system. And you know, you can imagine the target audience for this is take the box home, pull out the pieces, connect them together in a straightforward way, and off you go with a home theater system. So when you look at what we must have inside here from sort of a cost and a physics basis, we have to get the heat out of it. That's kind of what intrigues me about this, is even though it's kind of a hopelessly obsolete unit and there isn't much to say about it as far as performance or any other criteria, I'm planning to appreciate this as kind of a nice piece of engineering. So in this video we're going to do a basic check out of this. I haven't done that yet. I'm going to pop the lid and see what's inside. So one of the interesting questions for me when I look inside this will be, what type of power supply do we have? Do we have a switching power supply, which you wouldn't normally use on AV equipment, but in this case for purposes of cost and, you know, heat dissipation and compactness, I kind of think that this does have a switching power supply instead of a linear power supply. So that's something we'll find out along the way. So next, let's plug this in and try it out and see if it basically works. Got it plugged in. Let's turn on the power and see what happens. I actually did this in the store, but I knew I'd get at least this far. but that gives you an element of surprise. Put a disc in. I'm going to start with a music CD just to see if that'll play. I can already hear a kind of atrocious fan sound. It's hard to believe the fan is supposed to be this loud, but who knows. So we'll try to hit play here after this loads. So it appears to be playing. I don't have anything hooked up in the way of speakers so far. We'll do that next. I added on these two little Sony Cube speakers that I had handy just because they're easy to deal with. I don't know for certain that they're good, but I think they are. Let's try the remote control. That didn't work so far. Okay, we'll go back to the manual controls. Power on. Turn the volume down in case it's high. Okay, so here's my YouTube safe free music. Seems to be working just fine. I'm hearing this left speaker, so we'll have to figure that out. Well, it looks like one of my speakers wasn't working. This one over here, we'll check that out later separately. But now I've got both speakers working, so that says something good about this system. Scooter wants to be involved as usual. I took out all the screws for the lid. There's 7 on the back and 2 on each side, and there was still kind of wedged underneath, so I pried that off a little bit with a screwdriver, and it made kind of a sound like there's Velcro inside or something. So we'll find out. Do we have Velcro inside? It's been kind of a puzzle to get this lid off, but it looks like, see if we can do it with one hand. Anyway, you have to pull it all the way up and then sort of lift it out, it looks like, based on the view of the interior. So here's what I'm seeing on the lid. We've got these plastic catchers as well as a sort of a lip. You can see to the side of the plastic pieces. So it looks like this. That's it. It has to go straight up and then out. I made a mistake I've made before, but it's survivable, which is I forgot to take the CD out before I took the lid off. But let's see what we've got here. So what I thought was Velcro, this actually makes more sense. This is a conductive heat pad that goes on top of this transformer and allows the lid to do part of the heat dissipation. We've got a couple more here that go with these units, which might be some type of voltage regulator, power transistor. So actually, aside from being a very compact unit and having a this muffin fan, this looks to be a fairly conventional AV receiver, so I was wrong about the idea of it having a switching power supply. Here's a big transformer that's the main power supply. This is a standby power supply that's typically used to operate the remote control logic and do the remote turn on. And you know, here's the 5-channel output transistors. This is rated at 25 watts per channel for stereo and 15 watts per channel for the 4-channel output. Really, the subwoofer doesn't really count since that's powered. So that power range is kind of very, very minimal in terms of an audio system. But you know, for this kind of home theater, living room type system, you know, it's probably just fine. You'll never turn it up anywhere near that loud. So let's look at the boards here. This one on this side has one large transistor, I assume, or it may be a voltage regulator. Here's a bridge rectifier. Here's another bridge rectifier. So we've got a couple of different power supplies fed by this transformer. You can see there appear to be 4 over here and whatever, 5 over here, maybe 5, sorry. Here's the DVD player unit, which is typically a kind of a separate unit. This might be some of the control logic and motor drivers for the DVD probably. Here we've got I see now on this side we've got 3 large integrated amplifiers. So we need to do up to 4 channels of power. These are typically stereo, and we have, 6 available. Maybe they've got 1 for spare. There's a problem with a I've been saying 4 channels, but with a 5-channel system like this, you've got left, right, front, back, and center, so that works out to 5. So we might use 3 stereo amplifiers where 1 channel is kind of dormant or doubled up in some way. Here, the big heat dissipation obviously is this heat sink that's connected to the power amplifiers. You can see those themselves are actually fairly small, and their power is related to how much heat can be dissipated through this. Air comes up from the bottom and probably is pulled out this way. This could be either a push or a pull system. Let's plug it back in and be careful not to activate it. Okay, so the fan is blowing outwards. That's kind of what I would expect. So as I said before, this makes an atrocious amount of noise. Maybe it's going bad or something like that. So this is really more of a curiosity for me personally. I'm not sure what the use case is for this kind of thing nowadays. It's really sort of obsolete in every sense of it. So I may end up reselling this. I kind of don't need another parts piece. Maybe I could just donate it back to where I got it from. So it's kind of a fun little unit. It's a piece of AV history, so to speak, but nothing that has a lot of real value in any sense today, either monetarily or in terms of daily use. So I think the value of this today is not any more than what we've gotten in this video, which is looking at a slice of AV history. This probably only made sense for a pretty narrow window of a couple of years, and then HDMI and Blu-ray kicked in at some point. So I think we'll wrap this one up. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.